Hi, I am Aldume Gori, a Nigerian lawyer, entrepreneur, and social activist, founder of Chocolate City Group. Chocolate City is one of the biggest record labels in Africa, helping to guide and manage the careers of dozens of artists. But all this wasn't enough to feed my spirit. I am now traveling the African continent, finding like-minded individuals who are not only successful in their own right, but are also making an impact in their own communities. This is Profit with Purpose. This is Chivas. Win the Right Way.
Tonight on Chivas Win the Right Way, we'll be chatting with Neku Atawodi. She was the first black female professional polo player in the world and is a proud product of Nigeria. Her achievements, however, have mounted up over the years. In addition to being a world first, Neku is also an ardent philanthropist and founded Bamboo Green Concepts, which owns Abuja's Green Hotel and Bar. She also helps realize the dreams of others with her Right to Shine organization, which is a non-profit that teaches African orphans to ride and play polo whilst educating the children simultaneously. Neku also founded Malake, which is Africa's first equity crowdfunding portal. It connects high-impact African companies with global investors. To add to her list of awards, Neku was also a finalist for the 2016 CNBC All African Business Leaders Awards for the West African region. I think it's time to get to meet the lady herself over a glass of Chivas. First female black African polo player. How does that feel?
It was an honor to just do something that was, I guess, people thought was really groundbreaking, and then also inspire loads of girls to feel like they can do whatever they want to do.
And how did this start? I mean, what spurred you up to do that?
Well, a bit of a stubborn drive. I grew up in Kaduna. I wanted to play polo and everyone said no. Girls shouldn't go on horses, etc. And so I thought, oh, I'd do it to the most annoying level by actually going and studying horses in university. So I studied for an equestrian degree, and then when I finished, it kind of was the obvious path.
Tell us a bit about Ride to Shine.
Ride to Shine, we teach orphans to play polo. So now we've sort of expanded to not just teaching kids without parents, but we also teach just disadvantaged children. That is inspired by two things. So one was a friend out of South Africa that came out from the Maybach Foundation, and his father was a groom, and then he became a really, really good polo player. His name was Spoo, and then he got stabbed in a fight and he unfortunately passed away. And just to see where it took him and how much he left, like, you know, the slums and was able to see so much around the world was so inspiring, and I felt like it'd be good to do that for more kids and, you know, get them when they're younger. I think that working with horses really brings out a lot of character values, and it just helps to grow really strong individuals where you wouldn't look to find them. When I decided to become an entrepreneur, a lot of the traits that I picked up from being a sports person were very similar to what you need trying to push with being an entrepreneur.
Business,
yeah, so like just in polo, if you fall and you don't get back up, you owe everyone a beer. So it's like instilled in us that if you fall, you're getting back up.
Yeah, back up.
So when you push that to business, it's like it comes very natural to you. Business is quite competitive, and it's also, I think the stronger business people are really tunnel vision focused. It's a sport that is very, very team orientated, so you cannot play like 3 to 4, one person's not as strong. And I think that with when I'm looking for good entrepreneurs, those are the traits that you look for, people that are good with working with teams and people that are just in sync with their businesses as well.
Can you tell us a bit about Bamboo Green Concepts and also the CSI part of this?
So polo sticks are made of bamboos. So everything that I initially did with business was called bamboo something, so that's where that came from. And I wanted everything to be inspired by nature. When I first came back to Nigeria, I noticed that a lot of the places that you'd go out to were not taking advantage of their surroundings, even though we have like so much natural beauty. So we try to build things that really take advantage of, you know, everything around. So like bamboo in Abuja, it's, you know, half of it is outdoors and you get to sit next to the plants, and I find that really relaxing. And then we expanded to the beach polo club in Lagos. So that's bamboo beach polo. And we were lucky to partner with the Elegushis and get quite a big space for a really long period of time. And that again is just being close to nature. It's being able to watch polo and be next to the beach. Beach polo helps the masses come closer to the sport.
You started off a small polo loving girl, and then you've now grown into giving back to the community. And then you founded a company called Malike.
When we were doing the beach polo, like there were loads of smaller, you know, just polo players that wanted to be a part of it or sort of own equity in it. And then that gave me the idea to start Malike. So Malike is, it's crowdfunding for equity. So it's my belief in trade, not aid. We can reach our potential if we get trade instead of aid. So instead of just donating money, it's better to teach a man to fish, you know? And so we get these companies that are, we initially were focusing on socially conscious companies. And so we get companies that hit at least 3 sustainable development goals. And then we raise money for them by equity crowdfunding. So for example, if I was starting a recycling company and I needed 50 grand, and you said, oh, I don't have 50 grand, but I could put in 500, it automatically calculates what $500 would be worth in my business. And then it just gives you a larger pool of investors who become supporters.
Neku, you're talking about MEST. Tell us a bit about what MEST is. What does that stand for?
MEST is an acronym for the Meltwater Entrepreneurial School of Technology. And that I joined from my experience with Malike. So I found that I became really more connected with the entrepreneurs as opposed to the finance side of things. Just wanting to help them out with skills that aren't as obvious became something that I found was kind of a passion of mine. And so MEST, it's just passions aligning really. It's Meltwater's foundation. So Meltwater is the largest data analytics company. And our founder, Jorn, wanted to give back, but then he decided to give back to Africa, which he had never been to. And he's Korean, Norwegian. So that almost makes you a bit embarrassed because you're like, why does somebody come and has never been here and then decides to put so much into our youth? But what we do at MEST is we train African entrepreneurs to help provide jobs for them.
On top of all Neku's other business ventures, she's also the general manager at MEST, an organization that provides training, investment, and mentoring for aspiring technology entrepreneurs. I went to visit her office to find out more about the work she's doing there.
So this is the MEST incubator. We have the school in Accra. And after the entrepreneurs go through a year of training, they get the opportunity to pitch their business ideas in front of a team of VCs and our personal team, and then we decide who to invest in. It's basically just, you know, not throwing you into the deep end immediately, so it helps you to, you know, sort of transgress into being a full business person. So we provide stuff like Amazon, rack space, hosting, free internet, etc. And the office space is also very, very, very low priced.
8 years after establishing MEST in Africa, what is the impact? How many people have you guys invested in? How many, do you have an alumni? How does that work?
So in 8 years, we've invested in over 400 students going through the training program. And the good thing is, even if you don't get investment at the end of the program, they get hired into very well paying jobs because of the skills that they've picked up or go on to join other startups. We've invested in over 25 entrepreneurs, and I think we've had about 3 acquisitions. So we've had some great successes.
So Neku, can you give me an example or examples of companies you worked with in the past and what the results have been like?
One of our companies, Amplify, is a fintech company, and they were top 10 in the African Fintech Award, so we were really proud of that. They handle recurring payments, which is an odd big gap in Nigeria. So as opposed to having to pay for things manually, they automatically set up direct debits for you.
One of these exciting startups which have come through the MEST program is Amplify. Amplify is making waves in the payment solutions industry. I had to find out more, so I spoke to the CEO, Segun Adeyemi.
Yeah, so Amplify is a payment solution, and it's majorly doing one thing, and we're trying to do it very, very well, which is helping businesses collect the money electronically. Now, we focus on specific type of transactions, which are the type of transactions that happen on a recurring basis. Okay. So that includes things like loan repayments, your pension contributions, when you pay your insurance premiums. Those kind of transactions have like special requirements because they require things like direct debit mandates. So we help companies that have those needs to do those collections electronically, as opposed to doing a standing order or a manual process. So that's what we focus on, and we also help them manage the process in terms of who has paid, who is still to pay, when are you supposed to tell this person it's now time to pay. So that's what we do. So it's very simple. Accept payments, recurring type transactions, and help manage them as well. So in terms of the total number of merchants who are signed up on Amplify, they are close to about 1,000 now. Now, we categorize them because majorly the fact that you're signed up doesn't qualify until you're live and you're doing transactions. That's when we start making money off those transactions. So people who are in that category, there are about 200 of them that actually have transactions happening that fall into the category of, we have also internet businesses. So from internet businesses like, say, Google Host, where you have to pay for hosting services regularly, to something as offline as, say, a Cafe Neo, where people can actually order for their coffee and pay in advance, wherever it is being delivered to them, to even companies that do loans like OneFi, where you can take a loan from like 10,000 to even much more.
What is the training process like? I mean, how do you guys achieve that? Do you bring in people from outside? Is it internal? How does it work?
So the training program, MEST is a not-for-profit, so we get fellows from around the world. So, for example, if you've been working at McKinsey and you want to donate a year of your time, you take a subsidized salary and you go and work at MEST. So we have a lot of amazing people. We've got people from Bain, it's a very, very international program. And these people come and teach their core skills. So we'll have a finance person, a comms person, a tech person, and they teach these entrepreneurs all the key elements of being an entrepreneur. So not just building the product, but actually how to sell your product, how to manage your numbers, etc. So they actually have classes that teach them that. And then we do capstones after a few months. So you pair up in teams because we believe in teams, and you come up with a business model. Some people actually go in with a business idea. Amplify went in with a business idea, and they were lucky to find each other. But you pair up, and then you're able to test how viable your business is.
What exactly was it about MEST that made you leave some of the things you already started and focus fully now on MEST? What was it?
I think it was an alignment of passions. We talk a lot about the lack of jobs for African youth and this access to finance issues and etc. But to sort of come across an organization that is not only investing, but like investing finances in these companies, but investing time and investing in teaching them how to become these entrepreneurs and next leaders of tomorrow. I think it's as I said to you before, it's amazing to be a part of the solution as opposed to just talking about the problem. So today we're at the Africa Beach Polo venue, Bamboo's Arena. and we're off season at the moment, so it's a little bit
Quiet.
a bit quiet.
What were your influences growing up as a child?
I think everyone's influences are really their parents and people around them. My father's a fighter pilot, so that kind of sets a high aim. My mum is, everyone calls her Iron Lady.
Iron Lady.
Yeah, she used to work in a bank.
What kind of parenting did you get?
My dad was mostly working, so he'd get posted a lot, and then we got to an age where we couldn't just up and move with him whenever he got posted. So it was always pleasant to see him. So my mum really was a really strong woman because she would do most of the raising of the children while he's out flying somewhere. I think when you go to England, it's just more international, so you get to learn about different cultures. It's such a mix of people from all around the world, and for my master's I went to a really international school. So that's pleasant because that prepared me for traveling to play polo in different places.
You're much more than a polo player, a businesswoman, a philanthropist, and you're all these things at once. And the question is, what inspired this multiple combination of characters and personalities in just one person?
So I read this book. It's called The Great Ones. The protagonist in it is such an inspiration for me because she would do the most random, diverse things. She would, and then just jump into something else and then do it to the best of her ability. And it made, because initially I used to think, people will say you juggle too much and you kind of need to be in one box.
Yeah.
And I read that, a friend of mine actually said, oh, you should read this because she reminds me of you. And I read it and it was it shows you that it's okay to do that. It's okay to explore the different sides of your character.
Are you motivated by money, and what does money mean to you?
I don't think it's healthy to be motivated by money. So I think for us, it's a different way that we look at money, and it's kind of become like an unhealthy culture because you go to other places and the middle class there's things that the government provides for them that makes it, if you become so attached to money, it's because that's just who you are. But here it's almost like we don't quite have a choice to just survive.
What kind of person do you typically look for in maybe a MEST or Right to Shine, etc.? What kind of characteristics do they have to have?
I think that's a good, you almost just answer that because it's sort of kind of having that trust. So again, I'm going to use a polo analogy. So it's like if I'm picking a teammate, I don't want someone that or if you do the work like riding someone off or something and it's not a team player, so you pass them the ball and it's like you've just wasted the whole play. You want somebody that when you pass the ball to them, you can trust them to continue with the overall team strategy. And you also kind of want players that fill out gaps. So if we have someone that's really good with riding off, then we probably want someone that's good at scoring goals. And I think that's how you choose people in your business team as well.
Let's talk about Right to Shine for a bit. What kind of impact do you think it's had on children especially? I know you have a soft spot for children.
It's still just seeing them happy and being able to ride and being around the horses. But we've entered partnerships, for example, with Africa Leadership Network. They've got an Africa Leadership Academy in South Africa, and they've offered the kids, scholarships when they get to that age. So really that's the role of Right to Shine, apart from just the kids, being able to do all these fun things. It's also being able to create future opportunities for them so that when they get to the age that they have to leave the orphanage, there's opportunities that they can pick from.
Being in business is really mostly about winning. We talked about polo and it being a team game and people working together to win. So in that context and in business, what does winning the right way mean to you?
It's exactly like playing sports. You kind of play to win. You shouldn't be a sore loser, but you should, play to win and make up strategies to win. And I think it's the same with business and your team. It's winning with your team and seeing a strategy just come together properly is also quite exciting. And even if you maybe lose sometimes, it's maybe not a loss, you always learn something from it. So if we play a game and we lose and then we don't go back and watch the tapes and see where we went wrong or etc., then it's really just, you know, a waste. You haven't learned anything from it. And I think that's the same with business. Every little loss you have, you need to learn what you could have done differently and how you can improve the next time.
Where do you live now? Are you in Lagos?
In
or
Lagos.
You're not, but you travel quite a bit.
Well, since my honeymoon, we haven't really gone anywhere. We've been here, so we mostly now in Africa because of the entrepreneurs. So always looking for new potential, and you know, the aim now is MEST and what MEST is doing. And I really just have like an affinity for wanting to promote things in Africa at the moment.
I think it's exciting what you're saying, because you find many Africans, well, at a certain time, we're always about leaving Africa and going to greener pastures, so to speak. So what is it about the African thing that keeps you rooted here?
It's home.
It's home.
Yeah, it's like going to someone else's house and thinking, oh, their house is really nice and you want to live there, but you have to go back and make your house, you know, nice too. And like if we all left, then every other generation that comes after us is just always going to think, oh, let me go somewhere else. But like, it's home. It actually has like amazing gems. You know, it's a bit of a shame that we get a lot of press for sometimes the negative stuff, but I think we have amazingly perseverant people, and like it's home.
From your experience, what do you think is the root cause for business being so difficult to set up in Africa?
I think apart from access to finance, which at the initial stages every business needs that just injection to be able to keep growing and succeed, it's also that we lack just so many basic things. It's infrastructure really, so it's just like 10 times harder than doing business anywhere. But it's why the people that actually become successful here are truly, truly stars, because to push in this environment and still come out sane, not even successful, but just like sane,
yeah,
is such a big win.
Why do you think it's important to give back to the community? I mean, whether you grew up in that community or not, it's clear that some of the things you're doing are beyond Kaduna, where you grew up in.
I strongly believe in like noblesse oblige, which is nobility obligates you. I think it's what we as human beings are sort of put on earth to do. Like if you achieve more than someone else, then it's kind of your obligation to help around. It's not, I think it's actually an obligation.
What does the future hold for you? I mean, your dreams, where do you see yourself in the future?
I guess just to keep being able to do stuff that comes up in my head. It feels like such a blessing to be able to literally think up kind of crazy things and then achieve it.
Yeah.
Has just always been, I really believe that if you ask for it strong enough from the universe, then it aligns for it to happen for you. I think being a business person in Nigeria at the moment is extremely difficult. We're going through now an actual recession, and so I think this is where that perseverance really comes into play, just being able to push and stick with things.
So let's talk legacy. What would be Neku's legacy? What would you like to be remembered for?
Getting stuff done, I think. I think it's like, I like that when I work with people, they almost naturally seem to want to push themselves because they know that I like to get things done. Everybody takes on that no excuses, not taking no for an answer. And I really like to see that. As we're working, I'm probably a little bit difficult on them, but when we're done, you know, everybody really sees the growth that they've been able to get themselves to accomplish the task, but I also want to just inspire more women to just come out of that box and not like, I'm definitely a little bit difficult when you work with me because I don't like to hear excuses or to make excuses for yourself and just like limit yourself, you know. When you meet a lot of female developers that say, oh, they don't get as many jobs because they're women. And it's like, no, it's because the guys are sitting in front of the computer learning more about code and you're doing other things. So you need to not make excuses, but literally go into everything and see how you can not just be as good as, but better.
So Neku, it's been absolutely great talking to you, hearing about the great work you're doing across Africa, and not just in Nigeria. And I would like to propose a toast. And let's drink to more success, more business, and more empowered women.
Thank you.
Cheers.